Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our latest webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly. And back in the hot seat, a firm favourite on these webcasts, we've got Steve Heapy, who is, of course, the Chief Executive of Jet2 and Jet2holidays. So, Steve, morning, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. And you?
Yeah, really good. We've got lots to go through today.
Okay.
So let's crack on. I want to start, first of all, your announcement yesterday, increasing your atoll license. So it's midway through when we normally see atoll renewals, but that's not unusual in a normal year. You can do these variations, but I would say probably quite unusual in a year that we're coming out of a pandemic and with all the kind of challenges going on in the industry. So tell us what you've done.
Yeah, we've increased the license from 3.8 to 4.65 million. That's 850 odd thousand. Sales were much better than we thought we'd be. We took a cautious outlook for this atoll period, and it's clear that many more people want to go on a Jet2 holiday, a package holiday they can trust, and I think it's testament to what good shape the business is in that the CAA have allowed us to increase the license, because they're very focused on the financial stability of companies at the moment, and they're very focused on the operational capabilities of companies. In fact, some companies are reducing the capacity for this year.
Yeah.
And I think it shows what confidence the CAA have in our operation that they have accepted that we increase the license. So it's a great thing. Very pleased.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and it won't have escaped anyone's notice that you are now closing the gap a little bit on the market leader TUI. So I think you're within now 467,000 seats from TUI. I mean, what is the goal to obviously close that gap completely in time, or is it just literally about the right size of the program for you in the current times?
The goal is to provide the best holidays to every one of our customers, and if in doing that and building up a reputation for being the best holiday company, we get close to TUI or overtake them, that's fine. But the objective isn't per se to overtake TUI. I think where companies have objectives to reach a certain size or grab a certain market share, it can very often take your eye off the ball. We are obsessively focused on great customer service.
Yeah. All right. And actually, when we spoke yesterday, when we were talking about the atoll license increase, Steve, you were talking about how the fact that you haven't cancelled flights in this period and you have given good service. I think you also mentioned you'd won awards, but it's all plays into the reason why you felt the CAA had the confidence to allow you to do this increase.
Yeah, we haven't cancelled any flights due to resource shortages, and we won't be. Today is the day that airlines have to declare what capacity cuts they're doing. The government has implemented a scheme whereby you can take capacity out of the system for this summer and not lose your slots. And we won't be taking any flights out of our programme. We've got the right size programme. We are largely staffed for this summer. We started recruiting last September, and we're in a good place. We anticipated a bounce back in February, started recruiting early. I think some other companies perhaps started recruiting when the bounce back happened in February, and they're behind the curve.
Yeah.
So yeah, we haven't cancelled any flights. We won't be cancelling any flights, and I think people can book a Jet2 flight or a Jet2 holiday with confidence that it will be delivered with our usual industry-leading customer service.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about you talk about not being prepared, and in fact, your chairman had quite a sort of scathing attack actually on some of the airports for inexcusable, woeful, ill preparation. So we'll come to that. But just before we move on from this deadline for cancelling or taking capacity out then for this summer, Steve, you say you're not going to do it.
No.
Today's a key day, obviously. Do you anticipate others might still make an announcement to reduce their capacity today?
I think they may do. British Airways have announced their capacity cuts. TUI took a load of capacity out of Manchester for July. EasyJet have taken capacity out of the system. Whether they run that on for the rest of the summer, we will see. But we'll have a good look and see what happens, and respond accordingly. But our programs are stable, and we're very happy with where we are. We've got the right number of colleagues. We started recruiting early, did the responsible thing. We've given our colleagues what we think is a pretty generous pay rise for this year, and people seem happy and focused on delivering great customer service.
Okay, all right. You've mentioned the pay rise, and I do want to come on to that as well. But
Okay.
let's just talk about your results then, because that's also happened this week. It's been a busy week for you, Steve.
Yeah.
But the result, you brought your results out. You've managed to trim those operating losses by 4%. That's good news. However, you did say you have been impacted. You had all the stuff in place that you've talked about, whether it's resourcing, you've got, you have your own baggage handlers, you have your own check-in staff. So you've got certain things that have gone really well for you, but clearly you have been affected, you've said, by the wider situation. And you've also said that broader situation in the aviation industry will determine how you do in the next 12 months. So it is a problem, isn't it? So you've done as much as you can, you say, but you're still affected by stuff out of your control, I guess.
I think we've done as much as we can, and we're ready to provide great service. And when we're in control of the customer, we do. But the customer journey from arriving at the airport at the moment isn't great, because they're impacted by a number of third parties who are understaffed, and this affects customer service. So if you want me to just run through and give you an example, if someone arrives at the airport, our check-in experience is great. The red team are there to help them. That's fine, no problems. But you get to security at the airport, there can be huge queues. You get through the terminal, all the retail shops aren't open. Some are only open in the morning because they haven't got the staff for the afternoon. There's massive queues, and very often they run out of stock. The PRM service is terrible at the moment. People waiting 1-2 hours to be taken off an aircraft. In fact, very often our colleagues have to take them off themselves because the PRM providers aren't there. You get on board the aircraft after not eating in the airport because everything's closed, and then in the past there's been a lack of stock on board the aircraft because the onboard caterers are understaffed and not doing what they should do properly. Baggage handlers are loading bags late onto aircraft, etc. Now, we do our own baggage handling at a number of airports, but even then, where we do our own handling, we've been impacted because we've had to pull the bags off for other people so our bags come through. So that impact, to take other people's bags off so that our bags don't get clogged up and come through so we can get away on time is holding us up as well. So aircraft cleaning, the cleaners don't always do what they're supposed to do on time. So there's a lot of things within the system that are just clogging things up and giving the customer a rubbish experience. And sometimes by the time the customers get to the hotel, they're so wound up that they're just looking for problems.
Yeah. And how long do you anticipate this going on for? I mean, people have said it's certainly going to be the rest of this year and possibly into next. Is that your view as well? Do you share that?
Well, I think for the companies that didn't prepare properly and recruited late, they are massively behind the curve. And I guess the question is, are they going to recruit in time for summer to provide the service they should be? I think there may be some disruption ongoing, and that's why we said in the statement that we're largely dependent on the actions of our third-party suppliers. In terms of the longer-term outlook, I think there will be some resource challenges ongoing because there's a few things at play here. First of all, the aviation industry has taken a hammering. It was the first industry to go into lockdown, the last industry to come out of lockdown, and the perception of the industry perhaps took a bit of a battering. And I think as an industry, we have to try and show how attractive an industry it is and try and get people back that left the industry. On top of that, we've got Brexit, and as much as government ministers want to deny that Brexit has anything to do with this, it has. It's taken hundreds of thousands of people out of the system. We've got crops in the UK that are rotting in the fields because there's no one to pick them. We've got a lot of the jobs in the aviation sector that need a lot of people, and we can't get them. Brexit has impacted them. And what the government should do is add the aviation industry to the list of industries that get a little bit of help in terms of EU nationals allowed in. There is a list of exemptions, but the aviation industry isn't on it. Ballet dancers are on it, but not the aviation industry. So if you know any...
Is that true?
Yeah, if you know any ballet dancing baggage handlers, please let me know, and we'll be in
What?
contact.
I mean, sorry, I'm laughing, but it's a serious point, isn't it? Are you lobbying obviously to get the aviation industry onto this list? And I mean, I know
Yeah.
you, yeah. So I mean, are they listening? Do you think it's likely? Will we get on this exemption list?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it would. I think we'll have to see what plays out within the government, who are slightly distracted with other issues at the moment. But it, depending on who's in charge, I think they might be quite reluctant to do anything that looks like a slight softening of Brexit. I think it's a very political issue. But one airline in the UK has said that in 2019, 40% of its UK staff were EU nationals, and this year it's 3% because they can't employ them. And that's the type of impact it's having. And of course, the other thing, I was slightly misquoted the other week, but the other thing that needs to change is more incentives for people perhaps to come off benefits and get a job. I mean, you know, you've got baggage handling jobs, and people are not incentivized to do that, or ground operations staff, because the incentive isn't there. And I think the benefit system perhaps needs to be overhauled. But again, it's going to be a very brave government that does that.
Yeah.
So given those two things, I think it's going to be a challenging time over the next year or so. But if companies are prepared, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. I didn't want to get quite onto politics yet, but you mentioned who will be leading the government, and there's obviously lots of hats going into the ring, including Grant Shapps, who you must have had quite a lot of dealings with over the last couple of years. I mean, are you prepared to say what you think about the current kind of rumors around the leadership race?
Well, I think I've seen 11 names in the hat this morning. I didn't see Grant Shapps in that. There seems to be quite an eclectic mix of people. I'd have to look at what they all stand for and what the backgrounds are, etc. I think I'm not being a politician and not giving an opinion, but I don't really have a favourite at the moment. I guess at the moment, until I look at it, it's whoever's the least unfavourite. But
yeah,
I mean, it's a big thing choosing a new leader, particularly, you know, given where we are, and there's a lot to do. So
yeah, it's a crucial time. But
of course, yeah.
But how did you feel when you heard the news that Boris was resigning? Is that a good thing for the industry, do you think?
Well, it removes the infighting and uncertainty. We're in another period of uncertainty now, where they do pick a new leader. But I think where the cabinet and many of the government lose faith in the leader, then you know, it's game over, really.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So hopefully some more focus on the things that really do need addressing.
I hope so. Yeah.
Let's talk then, Steve, looking ahead a bit. You, in your results announcement, you talked about having a satisfactory start to the year. We know you've got, or this new financial year, I should say. We know you've got more capacity, I think up by 14% over pre-pandemic 2019 levels. So that's good. You also said that this summer's bookings, 35% of those are from new to Jet2 customers, which must also be quite encouraging. So just talk to us about how you're feeling about the summer coming up, or this next sort of financial year, also in the context of what could be looming in terms of pressures around sort of personal finance, inflationary pressures, etc.
Well, I think we've done a lot to retain our existing customers, also win new customers, because of what we've done during the pandemic. As you know, our refund record was fantastic. Martin Lewis, which the CAA highlighted as being the best company for refunds, and people haven't forgot that. And then this summer, when people look at disruption and cancelled flights and everything that's going on, again, they're looking for the company that seems to be more stable and is likely to provide them with a holiday. And they can see, Jet2 for flights and Jet2 holidays. So I think people are going for trustworthiness, stability. As I said, our refund record and our record for not cancelling flights, and that seems to be attracting people, customers to us. So I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. But you've also come out saying you think you've got the right product for tougher times. So
Yeah.
you obviously are, I guess, just planning for it for demand possibly softening. And what do you mean by the fact you've got the right product for these tougher times? Do you mean in terms of the pricing that you're offering, or what are you doing to sort of prepare for that?
I think the pricing, the choice, we've got a wider choice than other tour operators. The mix of accommodation, the payment methods we've got, the reliability, the fact we're not cancelling flights, given the last 2.5, 3 years, people want a bit of stability. Our refund record, the way we dealt with customers. A couple of days ago, the Institute of Customer Service announced their latest results. We're the only airline, only tour operator in the top 50. We've actually improved our scores on the previous year. So, during the pandemic, we didn't change our stance on customer service. We didn't cut costs in that respect, and we still provided customers with great service. So I think when you put all that together, it is the right product for the right times, because it's not all about price.
Yeah,
It's
of course.
about quality, reliability, trustworthiness, etc. And I think if you put all those things together, there's one clear choice.
Okay, all right. And in terms of moving forward around what you anticipate with, I know you say it's not all about price, but do you think prices will go up because of, obviously we're going to, everything is going up in price.
Yeah.
And I know people are hedged. I think you're hedged in terms of your fuel for some time, but not indefinitely. So what do you anticipate happening, and what would be your message to people if they're thinking about booking? I mean, should they be booking now for next year? Are we going to see prices going up?
I think we will see prices going up. It would be stupid not to say that they probably will go up. There's inflation everywhere in the system, not just in the UK, but abroad. If you're a hotelier, you're seeing the same increases in energy costs as we are. Salaries are going up, and running a hotel, you've got to run the kitchens, filtration systems for swimming pools, air conditioning, huge electricity bills, huge food bills, huge staff bills. So there's inflation coming through in the system. We have said that we would not impose a surcharge on our customers that have already booked.
Yeah.
So I would say that customers should book early and try and get the holidays booked for next year. The price they pay will remain that price. There'll be no surcharge. I don't know if other tour operators have promised no surcharge, but we are promising that. And people should look for next year and get something organised. I'm slightly hypocritical because I'm a disaster. I haven't booked anything. I'm always last minute. But
don't practice what you preach. You need to do not what Steve Heapy does.
Yeah, I am a complete disaster zone, and I'm quite disorganized in that respect. But companies should use me as an example. Sorry, customers should use me as an example and be organized and not be a disaster.
Okay, all right. And just because I always like to get a little bit of a flavor of what's happening out there, are you seeing any unusual trends, or is it sort of getting back to, is it, everyone's going to certain destinations, or is there anything unusual out there in the market, or are you sort of seeing some return to what you'd expect?
Some return to normality. I mean, Turkey and Greece are doing well, the Eastern Mediterranean. In fact, everywhere is doing well at the moment. I think summer 22 is something of a bounce back year. People haven't had a holiday for 3 years, and there was enormous pent up demand, which is why we anticipated a bounce back from February, and we thought it would be a big bounce back, and that's why we prepared for it. And when you hear some companies saying, "Oh, we didn't anticipate the volumes," well, that's a bit stupid, really, isn't it? I mean, you know that people haven't had a holiday for 3 years. You know that people will want a holiday. You know we live in a country where the weather's rubbish and people want to get abroad. So
But
why did you not
even
anticipate
you
it?
said right at the start of this, you didn't expect sales to be quite as good as they have been, hence the atoll increase. So has the, although you expected it, has it been even more than you thought then?
It has, but you can see these things happening as you go along. It's not like you wake up one morning and your load factor's gone up by 15%. That would be nice, but that doesn't happen. You can see things, and it's like
it starts building.
Yeah, I mean, if you're driving, you don't look 2 feet in front of the bonnet the whole time you're driving. You look 100 yards down the road as well, and that's what you have to do. You have to look ahead, and you have to plan, and you have to react, and that's what we did, and that's why we're in a good place. So yeah, you can see these things build up.
Yeah. And what about in resorts, Steve? Like we are hearing reports that sometimes people are getting to resorts and, not all of the hotel is operating because, again, they've got issues around resource and staffing. So are you, are all resorts up and running? Are all, restaurants and cafes in resorts open, or what's it like overseas?
Yes, they are. Hotels are up and running, restaurants are up and running, resorts are too. There's obviously challenges around that, and some hotels I think have had a few issues, but those tend to be resolved. I think it's just the same as this country. Things in some instances might not be what they used to be for a short period of time, but things are okay. But this is another reason to book with Jet2holidays, because we of course have our overseas customer helpers. If you have an issue, call our red team and they'll come and help you in the hotel. Other companies either don't have overseas customer helpers, or they're reducing the number of overseas customer helpers, which is basically saying to the customer, if you've got a problem, you're on your own. Basically saying to the hotelier, if the customer's got a problem, they're going to come and land the problem on you rather than going to one of our customer helpers that should help them. So I think that's another very compelling reason to book a Jet2 holiday, because you get the support.
Because you always do such a good sales pitch when you're on these, Steve. I mean, we expect it now.
You get the support in resort. My mum and dad go on holiday and they want the support.
But all joking aside, lots of things have moved to automation and text messaging and not having an actual person around. And I think that's been part of the issue around the cancellations, because people are just not able to speak to anyone, and they're just getting a text message before their flight is cancelled, like the night before, and then they've got nowhere to go. They don't know who to talk to. I think that I know as an industry we've tried to make things smoother and use technology, but in a way it's not necessarily been great.
But that's the problem. You see some companies saying, oh, we've embraced technology and now you contact us by Facebook, or you do this and you do that. In many cases they're doing that because it's convenient and it cuts costs, but it's not listening to the customers. Many customers don't want one channel of communication, which is social media, etc. My mum and dad aren't on social media on the mobile phone. They want printed stuff, and they want to speak to someone, and they want to on the phone, and they want to speak to someone in resort. So very often they just say, this is a new method of communication, it's great, aren't we modern, and we're all social media, it's fantastic. But they're alienating a load of people. Loads of our customers still want to see someone in resort, still want to speak to someone on the phone. That's why we have our call center, and we're very happy to look after customers. So I think technology has to complement existing channels rather than replace them.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Let's just talk about independent agents. Very important to you, I know.
They are.
Couple of things that you've done, I guess, recently, since we last spoke, Steve. You've tightened up your terms and conditions, which agents, you say, were asking for. You said it was in response to agents saying that we need to pull back a little bit from this absolute flexibility that we brought in over the pandemic. So talk about that first of all. Why did you do that? And is that, if you had any sort of backlash to it, or are customers kind of cool with it?
Yeah, the feedback was that we obviously relaxed our terms and conditions during the pandemic to give people a bit more freedom, but now we're back to normal, or something resembling normal. We wanted to get back to where we were, and many of our agent partners have said, people are taking advantage of the relaxed terms and conditions, and then putting a holiday back 4 weeks and then cancelling it, etc. And it was reducing the certainty that the agents had. So we listened to them and we changed them slightly and just tightened them up, and we haven't had any backlash at all. I mean, we did what our agent partners wanted, and I think we're in a better place because of it. The last thing people need, either ourselves or independent travel agents, is to have a forward order book that looks great, and then a couple of days later it doesn't look like it used to because people have cancelled, but you're not getting the revenue from it or anything. So we did basically what agents asked us to, and I think we're all in a better place because of it.
Yeah. And will it stay as it is now, or is there further you can go? I mean, you're presumably not quite back to where it was pre-pandemic. There's more flexibility, isn't there, still in the system? But
yeah, again, we'll continue talking to our agent partners and listening to them. We always like to get feedback from people, because people like me and Alan Cross don't have all the answers. We need to listen to people and see what they're saying. And Alan will speak to me. I'm with oh dear me, I'm with Alan for a couple of days next week. That's depressed me. We've got a function in London, and I think we're seeing you next week as well. So that'll be nice.
You are. Two things. We'll come on to that. You've got your conference venue announcement, which I know I'm not going to get out of you because it's like the most closed secret ever. But we have got that coming up. And then you're at the Agent Achievement Awards, which Jet2 are supporting. So
it's exciting going down to London, where the shops are open later than 5 p.m. It's an amazing place. I can't wait.
Bright lights. Okay, all right. So you've done that for in response to agents, and you'll keep listening. So if they say actually it's still too flexible, customers are still, I guess it causes them a lot of, it's like you say, they want to have a full order book, but it's a lot of admin again at a time when they want to just be concentrating on selling.
It is. We all need a bit more stability now, and yes, we all offered flexibility. And I think the job the independent travel agents did during the pandemic was fantastic. But we have to get back to normality, and we have to have a bit more stability in the system. So anything we can do to help them, we will do, obviously.
Okay. And talking of helping them, you've also announced a new campaign for agents around these digital billboards.
Our digital billboard campaign, yes, very exciting.
All right, tell us about that.
Well, it's the ability to have, it's pretty much what it says, isn't it, really? It's digital billboards.
But it drives, sure. All right, I'll do it.
Sure.
It's got a QR code on.
Yeah.
Don't make me look stupid. I have to ask these questions, Steve.
Okay, it's a billboard that's fully digital.
Okay.
And it does have QR codes on it, enables people.
It drives people to gives them the location of their local agent.
It does, yeah. And one of the things we have to do with our independent travel agent partners is get people to go into the shops. Independent travel agents are a great source of knowledge. They're well trained. They did a fantastic job during the pandemic. And we have to get people off the high street going into the travel agents, or going into the town centre specifically to see the travel agent. And it's about getting more footfall into the stores with our independent travel agent partners. That's what it's about. So
it was worth you explaining it then.
It was, yeah. It was. I think we got there between us, Lucy, to be honest. But
all right. And then we just touched on it there. I know you're not going to tell us the venue because you're announcing that next week, and that's a big deal, but it's great, isn't it, that you're going to have an overseas conference again. We came to Leeds. We had our UK one, which you had to do last year because of the circumstances, but I imagine you must be really excited to be doing the overseas conference again later this year.
It was great to see lots of senior people from independent travel agents, get them all together, and to have a few sessions where we talk about business, but to have a bit of fun as well. Our fancy dress.
Is that coming back?
I don't know. It's up to Alan really, but I was quite looking forward to it.
You say that, Steve, but you love a bit of fancy dress. We've discussed this before.
Yeah, I think
have you been in the past? You've been Prince.
I was Prince. I've been a pirate, a Roman centurion, a pharaoh. I was adamant in one of them.
In the
80s one. Yeah.
that's
so it's up to Alan really.
All right. Well, we'll pressure
He
him. You've
tends
got
to arrange that.
2 days to pressure him next week. So
yeah, he's much more creative than I am. He's a fun guy.
well, I don't know if anyone's noticed the cup that you're drinking from this morning, Steve. We should point that out to people. You've got it's got one of the, I said this to you earlier. It's got one you can't really see because of your background. There you go. It's one of the 7 dwarfs, and it's obviously grumpy. So
yeah, my daughter's bought me that.
I'm not going to say anymore. All right. Talking of just before I let you go, just because obviously you're talking about Alan and your team, but you mentioned it earlier about you have given your staff a pay rise, 8% pay rise, and also a bonus. You've said £1,000 at the end of this summer, which you must be a good thing to do if they've stuck by you in the last few years.
Yeah, we looked after our staff during the pandemic. We topped up their furlough payments and give them a very generous top up, and we put them back on full salary as soon as we could. I think it was last November, and we wanted to reward and thank them, and also it's a case of retaining our colleagues as well. So we gave a 4% pay rise in April at the start of the financial year. And bearing in mind how this year's looking, we gave them another 4% and the £1,000 at the end of the year, which is a nice thing. Get to the end of summer, £1,000. It's not bad, is it?
I love it. Brilliant.
Yeah, you could possibly buy 1 bottle of champagne with that, Lucy. I know you like living the high life.
Down in this there London, you mean, where it's all a bit
exactly, yeah.
expensive.
But no, it's great. They didn't ask for that. We didn't have a delegation banging on the door. We thought it was the right thing to do, and we wanted to do the right thing for our colleagues. And obviously, we want to retain them and motivate them. And I think it's been very well received.
I'm sure it has. All right. Well, it sounds like things are going well. You've got all this more capacity to sell now, which is fantastic. I hope it's a great summer. I'm sure we'll catch up again. Well, I'll see you next week, but it'd be great if you can come back on perhaps some point through the summer to let us know how things are going.
Whenever you want, Lucy, if you can put up with speaking to me for another hour or so, I'm quite happy to do it.
What people don't know is that we're recording this really early because this will go out at some point during the day, but we had to get up really early to do this because you're so busy today with all your analyst calls and stuff. So we are very grateful. Thank you for doing that, Steve. We'll see you next week at the Agent Achievement Awards. Thank you for that. And
Thanks,
best of luck. Thanks for all your time as always.
Thanks. And I'd like to just finish by thanking all our independent travel agents for their support over the last couple of years, and in fact congratulate them for providing the service they have done and adapting the business models. It's business, as Charles Darwin said, it's not the biggest or the strongest that survive, it's the quickest to adapt. And many of them did adapt their business models, and they're in great shape, and we're looking forward to working with them over the coming years, and hopefully I'll see some of them next week at the Agents Achievements Awards.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Brilliant. All right, Steve. Lovely. All right, we'll speak.
Thanks, Lucy.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.